don't know, well, we're going to talk about the 4 types of money in just a few seconds. So get out your pen and paper, take some notes, and text your friends and say, hey, get on Money Moves right now. They're about to talk about it. We'll get started here in just a few minutes. And we're back, Wendy. Welcome. A little bit of technical issue there. This is live. What are you going to do, right? I'm not a TV personality, so I'm just winging this. No, I'm kidding. Welcome, Wendy. Big question of the day. Did you have a great weekend?
I did. It was a chill weekend. We had lots of football this weekend. Football game, watching football, rainy, cleaning.
Yeah, fall is definitely here. So it's one of those things. So
yeah, and I've had I feel like I was on the go. I mean, we went to Mexico. I went to the Dominican. I've been nonstop. And so it was kind of nice to have a weekend to not do much.
Chill. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's kind of catch up. How
about you?
A big thing. Yeah, same thing. Just getting stuff ready, kind of transitioning the yard into winter wear, so to speak. So that's about it. But getting some stuff ready. We've got another place too that is always fun. So trying to get that ready for winter as well. So, but today we're talking about money personalities. This is something you brought up to me, right? And I thought was pretty interesting. I'm like, wow. So let's kind of go through that, because that personality type really impacts what happens to you, the viewer, what happens to your money.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to talk about the 4 different types. So why don't you kick us off? What are the 4 types, Wendy?
Yeah. So 4 types, and then we'll dig into what they each mean. But the achiever, the enthusiast, the steward, and the analyst. Okay. And I think we were kind of talking about before we started, like, what's your money type? And I think most of us are going to be a blend of these, right?
Yeah.
Just like any, those personalities, but think like these 4 quadrants, right? Achiever, enthusiast, steward, analyst, and we can be a mix of some of them. But I definitely will start with the achiever, because I think both you and I have a lot of that in us. But that achiever, right? These are people that are really driven by the desire to make money and hit goals, become high earners. We're money motivated, right? Or freedom motivated, I like to say, because what money can do for us. Kind of a lot of times DIY investors digging in, learning about what to do with their money, and really good at negotiations and kind of getting more, right, for bang for your buck. But we're not as always as detailed in our research. It's funny because I think about me versus my dad. I'll be like, hey, I'm going to get this. And then my dad's like, well, let's look up all the options and dig into the details of every little thing. And I'm like, I was just going to buy it.
Right? It sounds like a little bit of an analyst too, which I think that you're right. First of all, I don't think anybody in life has any one thing 100%. There's always a blend there. And I would agree. I think that achiever and steward would be, my 2 personality types when it comes to money personalities. And the achiever, that comes from the A type personality, action. Okay, hey, let's do it. Looking at money as a tool is my big thing.
Yeah.
And I don't look at, a lot of people get hung up on, oh, money's the root of all evil and blah, and that, first of all, that was never in the Bible. The love of money is the root of all evil. So, money is just a tool. Just like you have a shovel or a rake hanging in the garage, you're going to use it for certain things and things like that. And it goes back to the financial freedom and things, the freedom to do what you want. I mean, imagine if you had enough money that you didn't have to have the job that you currently have, and most people don't like their job. So it allows you to do things and be the person you truly are. And it's an amplifier too. It's either going to make a really good person, an awesome person, or it's going to make a butthead, we'll just say that, an even worse person, right? So it's an amplifier, magnifier. So anyway.
Yeah. Another thing about the achievers I wanted to point out, because I read this and I was like, oh my gosh, that's kind of me. But sometimes the achiever personality type when it comes to money can
Mhm.
cause strain in a relationship with managing finances. And I know that was my situation before, is like that was where the butting of heads was around the money, because I'm more of like the control freak when it comes to it, right? So that's where the achiever needs to be careful and to spend a little bit, another thing with the achievers is sometimes, have you heard of like these people? I know Ray Higdon has a story. He talks about like he made all this money and then he lost it all. I mean,
Yeah.
Trump did that, made all this money and lost it all. So the achiever too has that higher risk of losing everything. But the good thing is we know how to get it back.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the achiever. Anything else you have on that?
No. So the next type is the enthusiast, right?
Right.
Okay.
So these are your social people. These are like the fun. I think about my Aunt Susan. Love you, Aunt Susan. Well, they're like, they want the adventure, the spontaneity. They're big givers. Like they're the ones that'll sit at the charity event and be like, okay, I'll sign every dollar over, right? That, hey, I can't afford to pay for everyone for dinner, but I'm going to do it anyway because I love you guys. I'll figure it out later, right? Not the detail person. They are not. They're like just, every day, like, what is it? YOLO. You only live once.
Yeah, you
right?
only live once.
So spend it all today. And I will say, you're the achiever Stuart. I'm the achiever enthusiast, which is probably not the best mix always. Right. But I found that it's like work hard, make all the money, and then spend all the money, and then crap, I got to work hard, make all the money. Right. So I definitely have some work I need to do that I am doing.
My mom, I would classify my mom as an enthusiast, kind of looking at what she does. She's very generous with her money and things like that, even to the point where she'll sacrifice, where she'll do without for somebody else. And I'm not talking just with me. I'm constantly telling my mom, no. But it's one of those things that over her life. And, like most parents, she wasn't taught about money either. We talk about that on this show all the time. And so she just like, okay, I want people to be happy. I want to see people happy and stuff like that. And so that creates challenges, for enthusiasts sometimes personally, because if they're not that achiever enthusiast, they're just, maybe a steward enthusiast or maybe, an analyst enthusiast, when they get in a certain mood or, or if they're down, I would think that would be the enthusiast that would be the one to go out and shop to feel better.
Yeah.
If I'm just kind of spitballing here, but and that can get dangerous, right? Because it's a temporary fix, and you're like, and then I've got all this, what I call stuff, okay, borderline hoarder, whatever. No, you buy stuff to fill a need, make others happy, or to make yourself feel happy, or something like that. So
yeah, and I think for the enthusiast, one of the things they can do to help themselves is create the fun money account. Really get like honed in on the budgeting piece and go, okay, have your
spending plan. Yeah. Love it.
Spending plan. So have your savings be automatic, right? When you get your check, and have your bills automatically pay, right? So you don't have to think about it because they're not the detail person. They're not going to get in there and be like, where? So, and then, hey, here's my chunk. That's my fun money. And guess what? Then if you just keep track of that, when it's gone, it's gone. You don't get to spend anymore, right?
There you go.
That's going to be the best tip for those enthusiasts.
Yep.
So next, what do we have here? The Stuart. You and I both have phones blowing up right now. So
I know,
we're
right?
live.
A lot going on in the economy, folks.
So the Stuart, now I would say, like you said, you have more of this. So tell us a little bit about what that looks like for you.
Well, it's, I constantly talk about being intentional with your money, right? And it's okay to have fun, but you also, you want to be generous, you want to have fun, but you also want to keep everything in perspective is kind of how I look at the Steward. And, having a plan, but not being so rigid where you're like, the financial fiend, right? And, it's one of those where, okay, hey, if it makes sense, and you like you said, you developed a spending plan, kind of plan it all out to some degree. I mean, I'm not, I'm a spontaneous person. I like to just go and do stuff. But you have stuff set aside for it. Right. And I want my money working hard for me. I work hard for my money. It should work hard for me, but I also want to enjoy life. But I also know that there's going to be a point in time in the future that I need an emergency fund, right? Something may happen that I'm not seeing around the corner. I need to be ready for that. Same thing with, job layoffs or whatever the case may be, or retirement, just in general, building wealth in general. And again, focusing on money, being intentional about it, looking at it as a tool for that freedom, going back to, the first category, right? The achiever, looking for ways to make money. I mean, one of the things I've done in the Turning Point Group, my company, our company that we're, that you're part of and things like that, it's really looking at creating multiple channels of income for people that, are working with us. So that way they're free to go and be the person and really focus on that internal development and things like that. So you start getting a little philosophical with it, but it's kind of that peace and calm, right? Of being a steward. But, again, nobody's all one person. I mean, there are times when I'm out there, yeah, let's go, and it's, you mix it up, have a couple cocktails. Who knows? You may turn into an enthusiast too. You got to be careful of that. But that's why you surround yourself with a good circle. So,
well, one thing you said, like, is you have that knowledge and you're really intentional with your money. I think where stewards can fall into kind of dangerous ground is if they're not knowledgeable about the money and they never take the risks and they're, you know what I mean? They're just, they wind up being
save
stuck.
it too much. Yeah. And that's the thing. And I came from that place, right? And that's really where my light bulb or my epiphany went off was, getting to a point in my career and in my life. And I always challenge people to ask yourself this question. And you, the viewer, I want you to ask yourself this question. Are you today where you thought you would be financially in life? Back, 10 years, 20 years ago when you were starting in your career, are you where you thought you would be financially today at this point in your life? 9 times out of 10, I would even say 9.5 times out of 10, the answer is going to be no. And that's where I was at. And so I'm like, okay, this clearly is not the path I want to be on. I need to adjust. And that's okay. That's called life, right? And so, kind of taking that information and saying, okay, I love being a steward. I love this, but I need to figure out other ways, which starts talking about, I was exposed to Robert Kiyosaki, multiple streams of income, right? Rich Dad, Poor Dad, things like that. I started hanging out with, real estate investors, people that are making 7 figures. And that's a great conversation. I've been in several occasions where I've been, in a room when I was coming up where I was the only person in the room not making 7 figures. That's what you want to surround yourself with, up your game, level up your circle. And all of a sudden it's like, it becomes not a big deal. And that's that steward / achiever kind of blend.
And the stewards too, they're all about that sense of security, right? And so I would encourage stewards to make sure that you have a financial professional that you work with that can help you feel like what we teach, right? You're empowered to make the right decisions, because the stewards are the ones that are like, hey, I want to see all the money in the bank. And they're a little bit more hesitant about the investing piece. And so I love what we do, because we teach them how to make sure they don't lose that.
Find the blend, find somebody that is going to be invested in your success. Not just telling you what to do. And, that's, we've got a whole other video on picking the right person to work with and building your financial powerhouse. And so watch that. I forget what episode it is, and we'll post it down in the information below. Go ahead, Winnie.
And then finally, we got the analyst.
Yep.
Which neither of us are this.
Nope. But let's describe what the analyst is in full-blown color. So
the analyst, they're like the minute detail people. Like, I want to track everything to the penny, right? And they want to run the reports, and these are probably going to be like your bookkeepers and stuff.
Bookkeepers,
right?
accountants,
that love that, that love that stuff. And they get into that detail. And what happens though, versus you're an accountant doing it for a business versus you're doing it for yourself, is doing it for yourself. If you're the analyst mentality, you're probably going to be paralyzed a lot, right? And like, money is your big worry all the time. Money is like, it's almost can become an obsession of, maneuvering and trying to figure everything out and planning and right? And so that they get, my friend John Melton always talks about analysis paralysis, just in business in general. But that's what I'm thinking with the analyst, right? It's like, but we need these people. Right. We need the analysts in general.
And you do. And again, that goes back to your circle, right? I mean, you talk about, you mentioned the trip to Mexico that we took with the company, right? You look at that and it's like, I think we had 20, 25 people that all went on that and paid for a lot of the trips and whatnot. But it was something that, hey, let's be generous. Let's be achievers, kind of rewarding people for doing great jobs and things like that. Let's be good stewards and make sure we're not, running in the red to make all that happen. So we had to do a little bit of analysis to run the numbers to see, okay, if we're doing a contest, here's what it's got to look like in order to accommodate these prizes and things like that. So everybody wins.
Yeah.
And so again, you go back to the blend, but I think if somebody's a straight up analysis, like you said, they're either a bookkeeper, good people, CPAs, things like that. Not that guy. That's why I bring somebody in to help me with that, because I recognize that's as a, I don't want to call it a weakness, but not necessarily a strong suit. And that way you can kind of again build that circle to be successful financially, whether it's bringing in a financial advisor or bringing in a bookkeeper, CPA, whatever the case may be. But it's so important and so critical that what you are. Personality type, and what the 4 personality types are. So
and to your point, so you can match yourself up with the people that you need in your, and I'm not saying just like in marriage, but like I'm not the analyst, right? So I need to make sure that I have the analyst in my circle that can help me with that. And I need the good bookkeeper and advisors or whatever. But
tax people.
And so I love it. I think it's really cool. I'm all about like personalities, and I don't know. It's so interesting too how it just these 4 things can describe really all of us. But,
well, it's critical that people take a look at it. We'll post a link to an article that we came across that kind of talks about this as well. But it's one of those things. If you may not realize what you are, you may think you're one way. I mean, and you see this in life too. People, I'm the greatest person, and everybody thinks you're a butthead. But whatever. I'm a Survivor fan, right? And it's always interesting to see the dynamics on that as well. And it crosses over into money too. You may think you're one way, but in reality, actions speak louder than words, right? And so your actions really kind of determine that. And just by understanding that and knowing that, you can plan for that.
Right.
And that's really where your game changes. You can start leveling up, okay, well, this is how I am, but I know I need to do this over here. Like if you're a straight 100% analyst and you're not wanting to loosen the shekels or anything like that to go and have your money working for you, that's going to put you behind the game. So bring in an achiever or bring in a steward for you to kind of help you level up that game. You're still in control. It's still your money, but now you've got some trusted advisors that are kind of helping you with a different, not only mindset and knowledge, but a different personality type. So you can kind of see, okay. And that's, again, if you want to be a millionaire, hang out with millionaires, right? If you want to be, whatever, hang out with that type of people, but, find out what you are, identify the pros and cons, and then shore that up with your circle. So
love it.
Good stuff, Wendy. I like this. So we're coming up on our time, actually a little over, but I think it's good information for everybody. I'd love to hear below. Type in the comments what your money type is.
I was going to say the same thing.
So no, it's awesome. And if you get a chance, we'd love to hear from you on different topics and things like that. Do us a favor. If you're watching this on YouTube, we've got several different platforms we're on, but if you're on LinkedIn watching this, give us a like. If you're on YouTube, give us a like, and do us a favor. Click that little subscribe button, that little bell. Make sure you click that too, so you get updated. We do new videos every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. I think it's 8 a.m. still Pacific. We have that time change, which is going away. Thank you. But that's something that our whole purpose here is to help you understand money, not just your personality, but what the money game is. And it's really all a game. We're trying to teach you the rules so you can win at it too. So again, thanks, Wendy. It was great to see you again. And we'll catch up next week. And everybody, make your money moves. Bye-bye.